All right, Alabama offensive coordinator, Coach Nick Sheridan with us now. Welcome in, Coach. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We were just talking in the break about your transition here. I know your family's still trying to get down here, but what has the first month or so been like in Tuscaloosa for you? Probably nonstop.
It's been great. Honestly, it's been great. Very busy, as you guys can imagine, but have enjoyed every minute of it. You know, getting to know the players, building relationships with them. You know, the staff, putting that together with Coach DeBoer. It's just been a lot of fun. You know, a lot of work, a lot of early mornings and late nights. But, this is we love to coach. This is what we love to do, so we've enjoyed it.
Before we went on, you were kind of talking about your dad, Bill Sheridan, who's been coaching 40-plus years, 4 different stops in the NFL. I know, not to put it in perspective. But when you were born, I think he was coaching the Maine Black Bears. Were you born in Maine?
What
Sure
research,
was.
huh?
Yeah, sure was. That's about as much as I could tell you about the state of Maine. We moved, I think, before I was 2 years old, but my wife and I went back there a couple summers ago, so had nice lobster, and we enjoyed the drive up that way. So, but my dad's been coaching for a long time, and he's been very, lucky and fortunate to have had a great career and coached a lot of really good players, been a part of some great staff, some championship teams, and so, I've grown up in it. From the beginning.
If I remember his resume, I think we established in the break, Bucks fan, he coached for the Bucks. Yeah. Dolphins fan, he coached for the Dolphins. We have a Giants fan out there, he coached for the Giants. Yep. So how do you have a pro team? And you worked in Seattle for a while there.
Yeah.
So
I think, in coaching you root for people.
Okay.
I'm from Michigan, so certainly, always want the Lions and the Pistons and the Tigers to do well. But, the longer you're in it, you just, of people, former players, guys that you've worked with in the past. And so, you're rooting for people more than anything, especially at the professional level. So, that's probably, because I've worn a lot of different T-shirts and hats as a kid, rooting for my dad. So I think the longer you're in it, the more you just try to root for people.
I saw your face when he mentioned your dad's been doing it for 40 years. And I'm seeing this more and more when I talk to coaches. Can you right now, and I know it's a bad time to ask you, in the transition with everything going on, but can you see yourself doing this 30 and 35 years from now? You love it that much?
I do, yeah.
You'll be an old coach someday?
Well, hopefully we stay young, but, I've grown up in football. All I know is to be a part of a team, and I think that's what, when you think about why you coach is you enjoy being a part of a group of people trying to accomplish something. And so, that's what happens for coaches is you're a part of it for so long and you can't imagine not being on a team. And so, I love the relationships. I love the competition. I love everything about it. There's nothing about what we do that I don't enjoy. And so to sit there and think about not doing that, I don't see that. It's certainly not in the near future. So, but we'll see what my wife has to say about that, as we get a little bit older and my kids get older. But, we're loving every minute of it and thankful to be a coach. I'm proud to be a coach. I think it matters. I think what coaches do matter at all levels. And I think we impact young people at a high level. And I think it's important. I think it's important for our communities and our country. And so I take that very seriously, and I'm thankful I get to do it.
It seems like you've always been kind of an underdog. And just stick with me here. From, Indiana to Washington, not huge expectations. You walked on at Michigan. You ultimately won a starting job there. But now you're not an underdog anymore. How different is that role?
Well, I think you just focus on the process of what you need to do to win, and I don't think those things change. I think you always still have the chip on your shoulder. You always feel like you have something to prove. And so that's I enjoy that piece of it. But we really don't look at favorite, under. I mean, we just look on, doing the work and focusing on that. And I think, Coach DeBoer says this often, but, winners win because that's what winners do. And so we focus on what winners do. What does that look like on a day-to-day process? And that's really what, for the players, for the staff, for everybody here, that's really what we focus on is the things that winners do on a day-to-day basis. And you trust in on that and you lean in on that, and then, the results will take care of themselves.
Nick Sheridan is with us, the Alabama offensive coordinator. When you have watched the team you're inheriting here on film, what jumps out at you based on what you like to do offensively?
Well, I think, there's explosiveness on the offensive side of the ball. I think there's some really dynamic, playmakers at different positions. I think there's some, really quality interior offensive line play that has occurred here, some guys that are returning. And I think there's some really good young O-linemen on the edges as well. And so we're excited about, the group. We're learning about them each and every day. I know that'll be a process throughout spring practice, is to try to identify what the group does well. And you couple it with the quarterbacks that are very talented, very skilled, different, each one of them. But we're really excited and encouraged about the guys that are here.
Yeah.
And their attitude has been fantastic. They want to win. They care about winning. They want to be their very best. And there's obviously a shared goal, in that, and where we're trying to accomplish and where we're trying to go.
When you step into a job like this, though, do you look at it and say, okay, Jalen Milroe was the starter for a reason, or is the fair thing to do just say, I got to ignore all that and I've got to make my evaluations?
No, I think past performance is always a great predictor of future performance, and
right.
So we don't discredit the accomplishments of any of the players that have been here. Certainly, we're going to implement our schemes and our systems, but also what I would tell you that Coach DeBoer has done so well for so many years is adapt to what that group does. And so we have enough offense to cater to the skills and the strengths of the players. And that certainly centers around the quarterback, but also the offensive line and the skill players. And so, we're not at different stops along Coach DeBoer's journey, the offense has changed and adapted to who they've had. And so we're excited about learning what that is with the guys. That's what spring practice is for. And trying to adjust as we get closer to the season.
Speaking of learning, how hard is it when you go into a place that it's a new offense? So you're trying to teach a new language to all these guys who are here. How does that process start? What's the first thing you do? Okay, guys, we're doing something totally different. What's the first thing you do?
Well, I think I think there needs to be a level of trust that you establish with the players. A direct line of communication, and so that they feel like they can trust you and that you can teach them better. And so I think that's really what coaching is all about, is developing relationships with the players so that they can trust you and pour it all out there for you. And so the first thing that we had to do was get together as a staff, and make sure that we were all together and pulling in the same direction and we saw it the same way. And so there's obviously carryover, with Coach Shepard, Coach DeBoer. We've obviously have worked together in the past. Coach Gillespie and me, we worked together at Tennessee for 3 years, so there's familiarity with things that we've done in the past. But then you have two new staff members, and Coach Cap and Coach Ellis. And so, we're getting together each and every day. That's been a large majority of the time, so that when we get with the players, that we're all on the same page on how we're going to do things, whether it's blocking schemes or route concepts or pass protection or whatever it may be. And so that's an ongoing process, because there's been some changes here in the last month, so but we don't feel behind. We don't feel like we're catching up. We're just right where we're supposed to be, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Back to Jalen Milroe. Your fingerprints have been on a couple of recent quarterbacks, and Joshua Dobbs, back to your days in Knoxville, a guy that started a handful of games this year from Minnesota. Michael Penix Jr. just played for a national championship with you guys, a guy that should start some games coming up. When you look at Jalen Milroe, do you see that upside that you see with Dobbs and you see with Penix Jr.?
No, absolutely. I think he's an extremely talented and hardworking person. I think everybody knows about the explosiveness as a runner, but I also think he's extremely explosive as a passer too. He's got a very strong arm, and he's playing the first time last year with the large majority of the snaps, right? He's still, I know people don't like to use the word develop anymore, but that's part of a journey of a quarterback, is the experiences that you go through help you as you move forward in your career. And so he's an extremely talented player. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And he's got a great attitude and a work ethic that's really unmatched. So I've really enjoyed that time that I've spent with him, as I have with the other quarterbacks in the room. It's just a really quality room with great people. I think that's what always lends itself to really good play, is it starts with who the person is, and it's a room full of really great kids that come from great families that are very talented.
Nick Sheridan, for a few more moments, the Alabama offensive coordinator. Any offensive coordinator I've talked to, obviously coaching is a 24/7 job, but the daily calling of the plays in the game is what they just love. Yeah. And, can you just explain to me the adrenaline that goes through your body when you've been at Tennessee, you know what a big SEC game is like. Washington, you guys played huge games. When you're calling plays in an environment like that,
it's hard to explain, because it's so much work that's all coming together in a singular moment. But Yeah, it's unlike anything else. When you call the right play at the right time and the players are able to execute. I think what you enjoy the most about coaching and calling plays is to see the success that the players have. The joy that when they execute the right play at the right time, what that does for them and the moments and the memories that they're able to create. That's why we do it, and that's what we love the most about it.
Do you find yourself, like I do in Madden, always wanting to throw 4 deep, go 4
Yeah,
vert?
4 verts. 4 verts. That's the best
we do
play.
have that in our offense. We don't look at it quite like playing Madden in real life. A little bit different.
I was half joking.
If you could go back and have Devontae and Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs,
4 verts every play.
Jerry Jeudy, I mean that would make sense.
Well, those kids are super talented, and I know we feel great about the kids in our building right now too, and they're working towards creating their own legacy and writing the history for themselves. So, but there's no circle button up in the play box, in the press box, so it doesn't work quite like that. There's not a 3-box picture that you're picking one of them, and that's not how it works. So it happens a little quicker.
I bet that happens in your head a little bit, though. You have things flashing in front of you.
Yeah, I mean,
mentally,
a little bit. Yeah, like I said, it's not like playing Madden.
Did we oversimplify it? You think?
But I'm sure a lot of people think it's just like that.
Nick, you'll learn very early on that we are not X's and O guys.
That's all good.
Don't let my shoes fool you. I'm not a ball guy.
Hey, so when I walked into the trophy room, one thing about Nick Saban is there were so many players. There was not one player that kind of defined the program. And when you were at Michigan, Tom Brady, when you were playing, was in the middle of winning Super Bowls early in his career. I would assume that was one of the guys. There was like a buzz throughout. That organization, throughout the facility. Did he ever come by, say, hey, did you have any relationship with him?
No, I wouldn't say that. Tom obviously has had an unbelievable career, and I know he cares a lot about his alma mater. But he was right in the middle of it, at that time. And so it was just a different time. I wouldn't say – I know he's since gone back to Ann Arbor several times, but he stayed pretty busy for about the better part of 20 years. So there wasn't many summer vacations back in Ann Arbor during that time. But, I think, like I mentioned before, what's so special about places like Alabama is the people. The people that have come through this building, both coaches and players. And so, I feel super fortunate to be a part of it and to add to it. I think when you come to a place like this, you recognize the magnitude. You recognize the history, the tradition, all the hard work and sacrifice that has helped build a place like Alabama to be what it is. And, nobody deserves more credit than the players. You mentioned some of the great players that have come here during Coach Saban's time, and there was great players before that, and so to be a part of that is humbling. And I know, myself and the rest of the staff feels very lucky, to be here.
Outside of Bill Sheridan, biggest impact on you as a college coach or a football coach?
Well, gosh, that's a great question. I think, I'll mention one person here just because you asked, but I also would I've been very lucky and thankful to have been around some great coaches at all levels. I had great high school coaches, both football and baseball. Mike Glenny and Scott Tyson were fantastic. I was. I grew up in the house of a coach, and so the coaches that my dad worked with, to be able to see that. But Lloyd Carr was somebody that was, has just been very impactful for not just me but my family. My dad was a GA for him as a position coach, and kind of got him into college coaching. And then for me to have an opportunity to play for him for my first 2 years of college, Coach knows how much he means to me, and meant that way for a lot of players that played for him. I think the former players here at Alabama would feel the same way about a Coach Saban or a Coach Stallings. You're just in such a formative time of your life, 18, 19, 20 years old, and just the way that he protected the players. I always thought that publicly he defended the players. I always thought he had their back. Doesn't mean you weren't held accountable or addressed, in a team or a position meeting if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. But I think the one thing we always felt with Coach Carr is that he always had our back and he always wanted us to be our best. And I'm forever grateful to him because, as a young person, he was certainly somebody that I looked up to.
Did that make you tougher as a kid, though, jumping around different places with your dad? Like, I've met military kids growing up, and they seem to be tougher because they can drop those relationships within a couple of days and move on to the next town. Like, I was too selfish. I couldn't have done that.
Well, I think, you're a little bit more accustomed to change, to adapting to different, situations. And I've enjoyed the stops. I've enjoyed the journey. I've enjoyed the people. To be at different places and live in different parts of the country and experience different cultures. I've really enjoyed that. I know a lot is made about being the son of a coach or a coach's family and how that can be difficult. I got to play catch in the Coliseum at a Rose Bowl practice. I got to walk on the field and see confetti come down at a Super Bowl, because my dad was a part of a Super Bowl winning team. And so I enjoyed every second of being a coach's kid. And I thought what my dad did was awesome. The kids that I looked up to, the players that I looked up to that were my heroes as a young person, my dad got to yell at them and tell them, hustle through the line or whatever it may be. And so I've enjoyed every stop. I've enjoyed the different people. I just enjoyed the entire part of my journey being a coach's kid, and my dad's my hero. I have a wonderful relationship with both my parents, and I couldn't have asked for a better childhood growing up.
Yeah. Finally got to a place with good barbecue.
Yeah,
so there you go. Yeah, welcome to the South.
Yeah.
Nick Sheridan, the guy who's in charge of the offense now and making sure those confetti feelings continue here in Tuscaloosa.
Yes,
Thanks for being
Thanks,
with
Coach.
us. He's the offensive coordinator. We'll talk later to Kane Womack. I saw these guys interact on signing day. Man, you guys – the continuity and the way you guys cut up and the personalities, y'all seem to have a good blend.
Yeah, Kane's one of my closest friends. Our wives are very close. They're good friends as well, and we've had a lot of shared experiences and on our journey. So we've stayed close even when we were on different staffs, and I think that's what makes this opportunity so special. Is to coach at a place like Alabama in general is a once in a lifetime opportunity, but to do it with the people, with Coach DeBoer and Coach Womack, the rest of the staff, Coach Shep, on and on. I could name every single guy on the staff. Just the connections and relationships that we're able to build or have already built in the past is super special. And so, we're very lucky and very humble to be here.
We appreciate your time. That's Nick Sheridan. We're back to Tuscaloosa in a moment right here on The Next Round.